So let us start and he will join us. So good morning everybody, thank you for coming. My name is Yaron. I'm a faculty member in the Life Sciences Department at the Faculty of Natural Sciences, Gurion University, and I share many projects with people here at the Boker and other places. And recently we came back from a very inspiring delegation from Kenya, and I really hope that we'll be able to move on and initiate and be part of our world. And as you know, Ben Gurion University is a university that sees one of its main goals to work with anyone in academic progress and also be part of initiatives and practices all over the world as part of the academic world. And today we have actually two sessions on capacity building and innovation in Africa. We're starting with the first session. And we're going to hear, it's a recorded interview with on the air. He got sick and he couldn't be here on time, so he had to delay his coming to interview yesterday. So I'm going to present it to you, and then we'll have Osnat, Gillor, Noam, Weisbrod, Tesfaye, Anteneh, the ambassador of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia to Israel, and hopefully we'll have some time to discuss some of these issues. So thank you for coming, and let's start. Shalom, Gideon.
Shalom, how are you?
I'm okay, and thank you for making the effort to have this Zoom interview. I know you were sick in the last couple of days and therefore had to delay your arrival to Israel. How are you feeling now?
I'm feeling much better, still on the process of recovering, but you know, this is part of the game. Serving in Africa, we are not times we contract some illnesses, and I had a very strong diarrhea back 5 hours away from Nairobi, but now I'm okay.
Okay, I'm very glad to hear it. From my side, you look wonderful.
Thank you.
So let's start with this interview by tell us and introduce yourself with some focus on your international background and your experience in Africa.
Okay, I'm a career diplomat, already 31 years in service. I've started as a young cadet diplomatic ties with these countries. And this was my first posting in Africa. Later on, I became ambassador to Senegal and some other African countries for 5 years. I've been the head of the Africa Bureau. And in the almost 6 years previous to my arrival in Kenya, I was a special envoy for climate change and sustainability. So many people know me by that capacity as an advocate for action on climate. Our planet.
Yeah, and this is why we know each other, because we worked a little bit through the conventions in Azerbaijan and other ones. So
the COPs.
Yes, the COP, the Climate Change Convention, the United Nations related ones. So you are now 4 months into your role as the new ambassador to Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and the Seychelles. Can you share with us your impressions regarding the willingness of the public on accept international knowledge and adopt new innovations from other countries?
Well, I'm also ambassador to Malawi and to the United Nations organizations here in the UNEP, United Nations Environmental Program, and UN Habitat, as well as ambassador for the East African community. So all by all, a very big territory, a very complex one, and a very challenging one. I can tell you knowledge, thirsty for international cooperation, and really very much looking forward to adapt new technologies, to cooperate with countries and partners outside Africa, because the needs here in Africa are huge. Food security remains a huge issue, and you must know that the number of hungry people in the world is on the rise, and most of them are in Africa due to many reasons, like internal conflicts, like in a whole is in a huge need for a genuine collaboration, a partnership, and working together. And this is indeed what we are doing here. The embassy of Israel in Nairobi is really a focal point for knowledge transfer that we do from the independence of the countries in this region. We are collaborating to transfer knowledge, whether it's agriculture, renewable energies, education, health, capacity building, nature protection, reforestation, and more. With innovation, this is one of the most urgent needs of Africa, is really to go beyond the level of food production. Raw food production and food security in Africa are essential. And as I've mentioned before, there are many people in Africa, and they really need our help. And serving in Africa is really a huge challenge. Conditions are not easy, but we see this as a shlichut, as a mission. And good faces of Israel here in Africa, and people really appreciate it. People really appreciate and love Israel in Africa. And they are waiting, they are expecting assistance, they are expecting collaboration. And I want also to take this opportunity and to tell people who are seeing us and listening to us, if you have good ideas and you want to come and you want to work in Africa and Eastern Africa, we are here, like what you have been doing, Professor Ziv. You have been here just a few weeks ago. We went to the far and very arid part of Kenya, to an area with very high impacts of droughts and climate change, because you want to make a difference. We are here to assist you, and we are here to assist everyone who wants to come and to work here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to go to the basics. Other countries to assist, to share the needs of the world. What are the specific or main challenges that you see now in Africa in general, Kenya specifically, specific ones regarding
So the nexus of agriculture, water, and energy, or renewable energy, is the most urgent need in most African countries. Most of them rely very much on agriculture, the highest number of small farmers or small holders in the world is here. Big part of and really the big challenge is how to help these small farmers in times of a changing climate. You know, the patterns of rains are shifting. Rain is not reliable anymore. Life of livestock, of animals like goat and sheep and cattle have been dying in recent years, and this will continue because of the effects of climate change. There is less rain, the temperatures are rising, deforestation is a problem, desertification is a huge problem. So the needs are still remaining the very basic needs to produce food, to supply clean water to the population, to supply affordable housing, to supply very basic needs of nations. In addition to that, a very important issue is the desire of African governments and African people to move into the next stage of international economy and to become part of a high-tech economy, of AI economy. And we can see good starts also in Africa, and we think also that in that respect, Israel can do a lot and is already doing a lot. I see what my colleagues, other ambassadors, bringing Israeli innovation to Africa. They are bringing Israeli ideas, Israeli startups, and most important, they are bringing the ability innovation. And in that sense, we are really empowering people in Africa. And this is our work as a Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to forge good ties, to help African nations and African states move forward and to strengthen Israel's relationship with Africa.
Yeah, this is wonderful. If I sum a little bit what you said, and given our previous conversations and world's reports and so on, actually factors. One is, you mentioned water. The second one is energy. And the third one, which sometimes we forget, is the soil, is the ability of the soil and the ground actually to produce food. And it is all related. Once you have this one with technology, you can definitely move forward and create new opportunities. So thank you. Israel's innovation. Can you give some examples how specific innovations from Israel can help and be taken forward for African countries as well as the ones that you are actually serving now?
Let's go to a different subject, the subject of health, or public health, or healthcare. This is a major issue in Africa. People are sick with many diseases. And today, with the ability to do analysis on distance, we can really improve the livelihood of people here in Africa. So if you take the instruments like cell phone that everyone has here, access to internet that people have here, and you combine it with Israeli technologies of analyzing, of using AI or algorithms capabilities, we can diagnose and solve many problems. Health. I'll just give you an example. I was visiting a hospital recently, a hospital that is working on charity, public hospital. It's a charity hospital. People either pay very little or they pay nothing to be treated. And what they have asked me was to be able to share diagnosis and results with hospitals in Israel. So other Israeli doctors can, from distance, people, the very poor, are facing in Kenya and in Africa. And I think that there is so much goodwill in Israel, and so much is being done by the academia, by civil society, by even private people who want to come to Kenya, to Africa, and to help and to volunteer. And I really want to encourage that. And I say that we, as a Jewish, the mission of Tikkun Olam, which is one of the most essential elements of our identity as a Jewish people. And Africa is a very important and very good place to practice Tikkun Olam. People need us. You know how to reach us, and we'll be very, very, whether it is the establishment of projects, whether it's in health or education or higher education or startups or innovation or agriculture or water or environmental protection or reforestation, climate change, etc.
Thank you very much. You know, I started with mentioning the three: water, energy, and soil, and you chose to move to another one, which is, thank you for doing that, about health. And it is all connected to the technologies, high-tech AI and developments that can. Thank you for doing that, and I highly agree with our mission and the willingness of doing good. Now, you mentioned our delegation from about a month ago. We met in Nairobi, actually twice. And just for the end of this interview, what are your tips or kind of conceptual suggestions to want to be part of this world, also internationally? What are the tips for us when we come to Kenya to do the best job we can, kind of to optimize our ability to assist?
To come with the will to empower people, to give them tools, to give them vision, to help them see a long distance into the future. More pragmatic, find a good partner or partners, learn the subject, be humble, okay? People can teach us as well. It's not that we are the smartest coming and teaching, etc. We can learn, and we must learn. So this is a joint venture, which humanity, which demands understanding and learning, and understanding that cooperation and making a difference requires determination and running for long distances. If you are a long runner, Africa is the place.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Gideon. You raised very important points, and I think these are very significant tips. And thank you for sharing that with us. I wish we had more time to discuss and elaborate on these points, because I feel we that share us, but many others as well. Definitely the people now in the audience that hear this recording. Unfortunately, I have to keep the schedule, so we'll have to finish now. Feel better, and I hope to see you continue speaking and See you in person pretty soon. Thank you very much and good luck.
תודה רבה, שלום.
We're running out of time, so let me introduce Osnat Gillor. Please come and present your INCiTiS-FOOD presentation. Thank you for your agreeing to give this presentation.
Okay, so I'm going to present a project. I'm part of that project. I'm working with INCiTiS-FOOD. It's an initiative or a consortium that includes a lot of people, over 80 participants from different places in Africa and different places in Europe. I'm going to tell you about the idea of INCiTiS-FOOD, what we're trying to do, and why we're doing it. So I'll start with the why we're doing it. So we heard a lot during this conference about drought, about the problems in Africa, shortage, the water shortage, the insect infestation, the heat waves, everything culminate into people having a hard time coping with the harsh environment and having to migrate. And we heard Professor Linda Forrest this morning talking about migration. And indeed, when we're thinking about migration, a lot of the migration that they're trying to reach the Western world, but a lot of it is urban migration, or people to the cities in Africa. And you can see here the projection and the past and the projection migration into cities in Africa. And huge transit of people from rural areas to the cities. And indeed, when you're going to rural areas currently, you're mostly finding people, older people, women, children, and hardly any young men. And this is the different cities in the major cities in Africa. So from Ibadan to Accra in Ghana to Dakar, and to the big cities in Africa, and they're growing and increasing their population, doubling their population. And we're going to talk about people moving into the cities. So they are doing it following different in their so they're moving to the cities, but they don't have there's no housing plan. So we talk about different people moving into the cities because they cannot stay any longer. In Kibera, this is one of the biggest slums in Nairobi, but there are slums all over. Okay, so in any city, all these people that are moving, all this huge migration that you're looking at is mostly moving housing projects, but to these structure and no running water, no access. And so one of the main problems is that there's a lot of people there. There's no infrastructure, and one of the things that people are lacking is food. Okay, so the move from a rural area into these slums is translated into food shortage. So even if they have access to food, it's usually not very nutritious. Okay, so we have a huge problem of people moving into the cities, and then when they are in these, they have to find work. They're working in anything they can find within the cities, and you can see it again in any major city in Africa. And then their access to food is limited. And so when we're thinking about that, then it translates into health problems, environmental problems, food security, and so forth. And so this whole system is mostly broken. Okay, so people have no access to food, and not in rural areas. So a lot of the projects are targeted toward rural areas, but the main problem, one of the major problems with the migration to cities, is food access, food security in these slums, in the slums all over Africa. One of the ways to overcome that is by urban agriculture. When we talk about urban agriculture, it has two major benefits. One is financial, and the other one is improved. A trend of looking at improved food products, so higher, more accessible food, more nutritional food, so women can provide their protein source, vitamin source, and so forth, things that the kids have no access to, and then they can also higher intake of different different types of nutritional food. They spend less money on food, and they can maybe generate some income from that food, and it can help different. Some of them can work, but not all of them, especially if they have young children, and young adults who have to find occupation. Serve two things. Can serve both the improved food and some or increased household income. And so this is kind of the basis of the INCiTiS-FOOD program. So this is what we had in mind. It's not me, but of course. Was what she had in mind. She was working in Africa for a very long time, and she was thinking about how to improve that. And she decided to start this initiative of INCiTiS-FOOD where she's targeting urban agriculture. Okay, and so the INCiTiS-FOOD consortium include mainly West African countries, so Gabon, Cameroon, Nigeria, Ghana, and Sierra Leone, and Kenya. We have, or we are partnered with a university, and so in Kenya it's two universities, one in Nairobi, a Kenyatta University, and the other one in Nakuru, Egerton University. In Gabon, it's in Franceville, it's in the north of the university there, and in Cameroon, in Nigeria, it's again it's one university and one NGO. In Lagos, it's an NGO within a slum in Lagos, and in Ibadan, it's the University of Ibadan. Ghana, it's Tamale, it's in the north of Ghana, it's in an arid area in Ghana, but it's the third largest city in Ghana, and in Sierra Leone, it's again one of the universities. So within Africa, we have four universities, and the idea was to create an INCiTiS food system, and this is the vision of the system of using aquaponic system. So I'll start with explaining what is an aquaponic system. So the idea of an aquaponic system, and this is kind of a, it's not as, aquaponic system is putting together an aquaculture system. Of the aquaculture system is very, very simple bioreactor, and it's all going into a hydroponic system. And the hydroponic system could be different hydroponic systems, a floating beds or with nutrient types of hydroponic system, and the water is channeled back into the fish tank, and so you have should be a zero discharge. Of course it's not, but it's a system that can provide both proteins and vitamins. So this is the system. I don't know why it's so unfair. Anyway, this is the system in Ghana. So the way this project works is that we have one of the partners from Switzerland and Germany have come up with a system. There's also a group that specializes in hydroponic from Bologna University have come up with a system, and you can see it on the right. This is how the system looks like. So we have the fish tank here. This is sedimentation tank and bioreactor here, and then the hydroponic systems. All the components of the systems are going to be localized. Okay? We're bringing nothing from Europe, from anywhere else. Everything is localized. And so it's adapted to each of the countries. And in each of the countries that I mentioned earlier, there is a living lab. Okay? So it's a place where they are constructing the system. They're not only constructing the system, but they're using local seedlings for the hydroponic system, and they're using, and so we recommended using, the people recommended using African catfish, and African catfish is very resilient fish, so it can live under very harsh conditions. And so this is the African catfish. This is a system in Egerton, a university in the pool, and you can see the different hydroponic systems. By the way, these hydroponic systems, this is in Kibera, in the slums that I mentioned before, and this is in a school in Kibera where they build this kind of system in the children to run such systems, and the children are consuming. This is amaranto, it's a kind of a plant that they cook, and so they are producing it, they're producing other vegetables in the school, so they both learn how to and they see again that using household materials, those things they can use, that they can grow and use for consumption. The other part is using a kind of insect farming. This is the black soldier fly nursery in Egerton, where they're using the black soldier fly as a protein source for as fish food, or to develop fish. Now, after the living labs have established, build their systems, and with the help of the groups from Switzerland, from our help as well, and so here, Francois here was in Gabon because he speaks French, so we wanted to be as accessible. And so we had workshops in the different countries. We helped them build the system, but again, we brought nothing with us. They had to come up with all the materials and all the local materials, and we were aiming to help them find that. And then after they built that, the next step was to issue Africa to build systems, build similar systems using the knowledge and the know-how of these living labs. And so we had one open call, we're going to have another open call. So we had one open call, it ended. We had 24 NGOs submitting and 8 NGOs won, and 8 NGOs got funding. They got about 100,000 euros to build a system in agriculture in different cities within Africa. And so this is the projection of this project, not only building that in the universities, but actually implementing it to NGOs. And there's going to be another open call soon for the next round of NGOs to build these kind of systems using the knowledge of the system. And I'm not going to go through this, doesn't matter, but this is the General Assembly, and I wanted to point out the people, the actual people. This is Gertrude, she's from Munich, and she initiated this project. She's kind of the leader, she's the coordinator, she's the boss. Everyone kind of refer to her as the boss, and she is the boss, and she's really amazing. And then there's a lot of other people here who are participating, but Gertrude is kind of the leading force of this project. So thank you.
Thank you, Osnat. And let's wait with that question. In the sessions and during the lunchtime, hopefully you'll be around, Osnat. Thank you very much, very inspiring. And we'll move on to the next one just to catch up with the time. So, Noam, please, if you can come. Yeah, so water development, how can our students get involved in the water food crisis in Africa? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Yaron. So this is a very interesting session, and since in the last 20 years I'm involved in quite a few projects in Africa and other developing countries, especially in rural areas, in opposed to Osnat that talked about the urban area. Huge urbanization in Africa, but there are still a lot of people living in rural areas, more than any other continent. And but I will not talk about my projects. I was asked to talk about a course that I'm teaching. In the last, I just checked this morning, the first course was in 2009. So it's like 16 years. And overall there were like 12 or 11, 12 or 13 years of course. Every year we have something between 10 and 15 students that are involved. So this presentation, 50 names. I should be the last one because most of the work is being done by students. I just want to say one thing, that this course is aimed to expose the students to the type of problems and what it means to run a project in a rural area. And we're not replacing NGOs. I mean, we're not trying to save anyone. We're not trying to do something like that. There are enough very good NGOs to do that. We are trying just to and I will show some examples from our projects. We all know that water is life. It's not a secret, and there hundreds of studies showing the relationship between water, enough water both in terms of quantity and quality, and hunger, disease, and poverty. In other words, in places where there is enough water, usually we see this is something that was studied by many people, and there are a lot of evidence for that. So we can say that having enough water and in good quality is essential to food security and sustainable life. And again, it's something that is well known. The demand for water globally is increasing all the time, significantly. And on the other hand, the availability is decreasing. And what is available is getting very, very difficult to close. And this is especially, I think, are obvious when there are no infrastructure and there is no money. Now, why we have this increasing gap? Well, there are a lot of reasons for that, and I guess it should be like a different presentation. But why it is especially a problem in rural areas? Let's take climate instability. It's a buzzword. Everybody talk about climate instability. I think like 75 of the presentations at the DTD mentioned climate instability. What it means, climate instability in a rural area in Africa, it means that most of the food is local. Growing something, there is hunger. It's a very simple equation. And another thing is that in most places, the agriculture is rain-fed agriculture. There is no irrigation, fertigation, all these that put the seeds in the ground, wait for the rain, it is raining, and then we have food. But if the rain doesn't come on the right time, there is no food. But the rain is not coming on time, and this is the reason for a lot of the hunger events that we see in many places in Africa in the last decade. I think that this is a problem in places where, especially, you know, in most Africa, there are 2 rainy seasons, and the rain used to come almost plus minus a week on time. Now it's not like that anymore, and sometimes the rain is not coming for a month or 2 after what it was supposed to come. So this is a huge issue. And when we're talking about water scarcity, 2 types of water scarcity. There is the physical water scarcity, which there is no rain, no water, and therefore there is water scarcity. On the other hand, the economic water scarcity means that there is enough water, actually plenty of water, but there is lack of technology, knowledge, infrastructure, and so on, and therefore we cannot deliver the water from the source, it can be groundwater, lakes, whatever, to the, let's call it customer, okay, to the people. And this is the case of most sub-Saharan Africa. You see that it's yellow, so most of the water, they have a lot of water, plenty of water in most places, excluding the Namib Desert, Kalahari Desert, part of the Sahara, but most places there is a lot of rain, there is a lot of water, but it's economic water scarcity, and this is something that's worth remembering. If the previous slide, I said that it's a different lecture, here it's a different course. So I'm not going to talk about different ways that we can try to close this gap, but I will just mention that it's also superposition of different things that we can do, but one of the things is and bring the right technology, and this is something that we try to see how can numbers are scary. I'm not going to go over the numbers, and if you go to different, the number of kids that are dying from water-related disease in sub-Saharan Africa is more than all the rest of together. So this is enough. This is just one number which is enough to understand the level of the problem. So this is true, and now I'm diving into our institutes, our university. What happened is that graduate school, international graduate school, with a lot of students coming from typically around 30 different countries, dealing with water, dealing with agriculture, renewable energy and all that, but most of the projects that are relevant to Israel, relevant to North America, rural village in most countries in Africa. And the reason is that we are a university and we want top-notch science. This is what we're looking for, and in many places the solutions that are needed are not top-notch science. It's something very different. And we decided that it's very important that at least those that are interested, students that are interested, will have the option to look into the type of problems and solutions that are relevant for this part of the world. And we created a course that is divided into two semesters. The first one, case studies, different type of organizations, the problem of all the aid industry, which is a big issue, and it's not black and white, it's the gray area. And then we are developing our own project and going to the target area and hands dirty, because I think that the only way to really understand what it means is to do a project. Working and doing different projects, but it won't be the same as if you're doing your own project. And here I will run very fast on some of the projects that we were doing over the years. And I apologize in advance, I'm not going to get into the technology and stuff like that, just the direction. In the first few years in southern Ethiopia, in a very rural area, and in Zambia, both in the north and in the south of Zambia, we were working on hand-dug boreholes and examples. It's a very, let's call it labor-intensive work, very low-tech, and a lot of injuries during the process, but eventually it's really nice if you have a working borehole that get water on the ground. I mean, you see here, it's maybe $3 to build this pump. It's very MacGyver. It's really nice. Then catchment systems. In many of these places, as I mentioned, there is a lot of rain. I mean, typically more than 1,000 millimeters, sometimes even 2,000 millimeters per year. But during the rainy season, everything is good. But then the dry season is coming, and there is no storage systems. Simply no storage systems. So this is a place called Lake Mangulu, just a little bit northeast from the Copper Belt, for those who are familiar with Zambia. And we were just building systems with first flash and all the details as an example for the people, so they can build their own system. It's very simple, and it's very useful. We build more rain catchment systems. This is already in Uganda. In Uganda, we're working in, which is in the western part of Uganda, not far away from the Nile and from the Murchison Falls, which is a very nice park. This is in a school in the northern part of Masindi district. And what nice here or interesting is that this school is very, and refugees tend to like vandalism, and so we were asked to build a safe. I'm calling it a safe, or a building around a plastic container in order to eventually only the top here at the bottom is exposed and everything else is covered. In all our it can be to the NGO people. This is like a 101 hydrology explanation of how a borehole works and why not to put a latrine near a borehole upstream and things like that. But it's also include the food security classes for the kids or other hygiene classes or something like that. But there are also some educational parts for the trip. This is work that we were doing in southern Zambia. It's a village called Simango, which is about maybe 20 kilometers. Huge falls in the border between Zambia and Zimbabwe, and the amount of water on average that is falling in the falls in 2 days is the annual water consumption of the state of Israel. And you go 20 kilometers and there is no running water, nothing. All rain dependent, nothing. And we were doing there, for example, a water quality survey of different sources. Again, I'm not going to get into the details. We checked the sources, we checked the jerry cans, we checked the cups of surface water, subsurface. Eventually, and I'm mentioning it because a lot of this work can be published. I'm too lazy, so I don't have time to do it, but a lot of this work can be published, and this is just one example. Really bad. I mean, most of the water was contaminated eventually. We built sand biofilters with some protocol, and we installed it in HIV clinics and in schools to improve the water quality. Another project is weather stations that are becoming part of a big weather data that are on the cloud for Africa. Pumps. Pumps are, you have hundreds of pumps, and on average 95% are not functioning. And the reason is it's like robust, simple pumps, but if something is broken, people either don't have the tools or don't know how to fix it. So we were, in some of our trips, we were trying to help it. And in the last, I can't remember, something like 4, 5, 6 trips, we are building a vegetable community garden in schools in Uganda. This is just some example. Eventually we have a vegetable garden that improves the nutrition. The nutrition there is amazing. I mean, it's only corn. I don't really know how they live, but it works somehow. But improving the nutrition is very nice, and of course it's with low pressure drip irrigation kits that we're bringing from Israel. This is from last year, this is from this summer. One of the schools that we have, and this is how it looks a few weeks after we left. In many of the years, there are the students that are doing most of the work are having movies. I don't have time. This is like only 2 minutes, but Yaron is telling me that I should finish. But this is the website where some of the movies are there. If anyone is students did really nice videos, so I again, we're not saving the continent, we're not replacing any NGO. I think that it's very important to some of them. We have this girl here that will give Ruth will give a presentation later. I think that maybe one of the first times she exposed was in a class. I'm not sure, but and she worked in one of the better NGOs operate from Israel. She will tell you about it. Yeah, that's it pretty much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Noam. and we have to move on, but I didn't mention, first of all, Professor Noam Weisbrod is the head and dean of the Brownstein Institute for Desert Research, and we are here now. It's a wonderful institute. And the one who presented before him, Professor Osnat Gillor, she's the head of the lab of environmental microbiology at the Water Institute here at the Brownstein Institute for Desert Research. Thank you very much. And again, they will be here. They will be able to answer questions and of course, and it's a great pleasure now to introduce and to invite His Excellency Mr. Tesfaye Anteneh. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Please join us. He is the ambassador of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia to Israel. And it's a great
Okay, good morning. My name is Tesfaye, and I'm the ambassador of Ethiopia to the State of Israel. I've been here for almost 3 years. I arrived in Israel. It will be my third year in Israel. I have been enjoying Israel. I have been to many places. I'm very much happy to be here. Last May or April, I visited the Gurion University, and I had the opportunity to have a discussion, an audience with the president of the university and the academic vice. You should visit this institute, and today I had the chance to come here, and I'm supposed to talk about Ethiopia's capacity building and future. So thank you for the warm welcome and the opportunity already given to me. So I'm talking on this topic. Toward this, capacity building and innovation. So, like any other country, Ethiopia is trying to promote and develop its capacity, because it is central to any country. Building capacity is very important for economic development, for social development. Ethiopia's economy is predominantly agrarian or agricultural economy. Currently, agriculture's share of the GDP is about 30%. Previously, it was more than that. Now, other sectors of the economy are growing. So, in the future, the share of agriculture, the GDP will reduce, but we will increase the output and the share will increase, but the productivity, the produce will increase. So this is one, capacity building, innovation, promotion. We can see it in Ethiopia in 3 phases: in the past, at present, and initially, there was a problem of human capital constraints, scarcity of skilled labor was a problem. Limited tertiary education enrollment. Until 1991, Ethiopia had only 2 universities, Addis Ababa University and Aroma University, and the number of students enrolled each year, not more than 6,000. That time, the population of Ethiopia was estimated about 60 million. So intake was very limited, so we were suffering from lack of skilled manpower. And then weak technical and vocational training infrastructure was another constraint. Heavy reliance on foreign expertise. One time even myself, I also experienced it. In the high school also, the teachers history or physics. Even we didn't have enough high school teachers in those times. Later on, as educated and those that require very qualified personnel. Institutional development also began in the past. Establishing agricultural research centers or institutes in different parts of Ethiopia. Agricultural research institutes are the oldest ones, and have worked a lot in improving the agricultural productivity in general, but in particular in coming up with seeds or plants that are highly productive, high yielding, and animals, and the way agriculture is done. One is that, and public universities also, these 2 universities tried in research and innovation. The public administration in general was very low. So people were complaining, a lot of complaints were there because the service delivery was not efficient and was not effective. There was a very limited innovation ecosystem, traditional knowledge, dominance in agriculture, in craft and community policy ecosystem was a problem in the past. So we are suffering all these problems. At present, there are a number of initiatives already taken. The civil service reform program in order to improve the service delivery to the public. One of the measures taken during those times. And to effectively and efficiently give services to the public. That was the system introduced and was in place. The judicial and number of that also have been taken in the government administration and the judicial process as well. Expansion of education and training. I said it before, we were having only 2 universities, then expanding the universities, is quite important. So the 40 plus, so we have a number of universities in different parts of Ethiopia. Increased, quite a huge number of students are now attending from different fields. Emphasis also given to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The other process taken was the building the national innovation and technology ministry. Before the establishment of the Innovation and Technology Ministry, there was Science and Technology Commission at commission level, not at the ministerial level. So its role was limited, but it has served the of technology institutes already taken, support for innovation hubs and research centers. A lot of emphasis is given by the government of Ethiopia. Like the Blue Moon, we have a number of that. Growth of digital services in the government system now, e-governance is going to be in place. It already started. In fintech, the payment system, in mobile money, all these are now flourishing and growing. When we go to the future of Ethiopia, there is some conclusion. Sorry for the technical, minor technical problem. Solve it all. So, looking at the past and the present, I move on the future will be a knowledge-driven innovation economy that the country is aiming on. So transforming the education and the skill system is one. In the education system, a lot is being done and it is underway also. So shifting from traditional education to competence-based, digital-focused learning is the focus of from the primary education up to the tertiary level. This is already given an emphasis, and that is because previously students are just learning to pass exams, and if it is in the university, to get the diploma or the degree. Just studying and passing the exams. Now, competence is very important. We are heading to the digital era, so we shouldn't be lagging behind the world. We have to increase our pace. So that is the issue. Universities as hubs of research, innovation, and commercialization. Now, the Ministry of Education has put in place a policy dividing universities research universities. For example, one of the university. By the way, we are on working to make a partnership, tuning. Are being done in the past, and I hope in the very near future this will be established. So research institutes, technology universities, teaching universities, and so on and so forth. So all universities are previously the courses they are giving, and even the research areas were the same. But now specializing in the government, and especially in particular the Ministry of Education, Higher Education is focusing on this area. So commercialization also, one of the weaknesses in our case in research, is the lack of commercialization. Now, due emphasis will be given to that as well. Enhancing activity industry partnership. You know, there was a weak linkage between universities, research institutes, sector. So now, in order to solve this problem, there must be a strong linkage between industry and universities and research institutes. Yeah, the other one is strengthening the research funding mechanism. They were underfunded or no sufficient funding for research. This problem is already identified, and government, as much as possible, will and others will give funding and increase the funding. Promote the triple helix model will be in place so that to enhance innovation and to build capacity. Expand innovation hubs. There are innovation hubs, as I told you, incubators and accelerators across all regions. This is the most important. It is in an infant stage, but the emphasis given is huge, and hopefully we'll see very good change in the very, very near future. Encouraging the private sector is another issue already given emphasis, and but also I think in all African countries, the private sector is not allocating some fund for research. Even they don't have their own research and development or R&D department. So without that, continuous improvement is not possible. So now they are to fund the research and development and to have their own research and development departments in their. The digital transformation is on the way. Now the national digital ID in Ethiopia, it already started. It's called FIDA in the local language in Amharic, which means impact. So digital ID is in place. E-government, between the public and the government, electronically communicating is being given. Digital payment systems. Now, still we use if it is more than 30,000, the transaction, you don't use cash. It's forbidden. It has to be transferred by mobile money, or there are a number of platforms. So carrying cash or cashless society in the future will be created in Ethiopia because more payments, the payment system will be more electronical. So we'll get rid of carrying too much on our pockets. Promote data-driven public services. Yeah, it's going to be done. Support startups and digital entrepreneurs. There are institutions, I can say, that can support these systems, the startups, the youth or the young ones are ideas. The problem is, as you know, is the finance. They don't get sufficient these problems, helping, the startups with the necessary financial resource is very important. Industrial and technological upgrading is already underway. Renewable technologies, if we take our energy system, Ethiopia, I can say, is a pioneer. Our energy mix is mostly from renewable energy. One is from hydro, and the huge amount of energy is produced from hydro, from dams or hydro electricity. is wind, though it is in small amount, it's going up. And recently the solar and the geothermal energy. So renewable energy is getting, has already been given emphasis. Artificial intelligence and automation is also another area for promotion purpose. We have Artificial Intelligence Institute already established recently, and Addis Ababa University already started giving courses in artificial intelligence by master's degree, and the courses are started being given. Biotechnology and health tech. I think in the video, His Excellency the Ambassador of Israel to Kenya was talking about this topic. So this is already given emphasis in Ethiopia as well. Agriculture. Just what this guy is talking about, it is ridiculous. Some of you can say because Ethiopia's agriculture is technology, but we are determined, to transform this low productivity, low technology-based agriculture toward this modern one. We know the challenges are there, but the determination is not to stay in the backward technology and to advance to the modern one. So we waited quite long. The governance system, strengthening local governments. As you know, Ethiopia is a big country and it follows a federal system. We have under regional states there are local governments, so technologies are very important to effectively give government services and to effectively and efficiently administer the public. Evidence-based policy making is another area. Civil service modernization. Their services to the public in an efficient and effective manner. Leadership. Leaders, government leaders, whoever leaders should develop their leadership capability, and there should be an accountability and transparency in their leadership undertaking. So these areas are the other points already given due emphasis. The other one is youth innovation programs. In Africa and in Ethiopia as well, 70% of the population is young, the youth population. But Africa in general is having an asset because should be educated and should have the skills, the knowledge, so that to get rid of the problems, the unemployment, lack of job, and related things. Entrepreneurship and startup financing is another area that will be looked into. Digital and soft skill training. Ethiopia, there is one program which is already initiated by the Prime Minister last year. 5 million coders. So 5 million youths get training in this soft skill, and it will be expanded so that people will be more dependent on technology. Diaspora knowledge transfer. Ethiopia, we don't know exactly. We have quite a huge number of diaspora population, Ethiopian population, and well educated. So we want to harness also their potential in this regard. So these are capital. We have challenges. The challenge is skills mismatch between graduates, between graduates from university. They are not up to the expectation. There is a gap, and there is always a mismatch. So the skill, one of the things in our education system, I said it before, no exposure to the industry, no exposure to the external environment. They simply read literatures. We read literatures, read books, pass exams, and come out of the university as a professional, as a graduate. But the company or the private sector or the economy needs more. So that is the issue that should be addressed. Low private, I said it before, no funding for research and development. So enhancing and increasing the funding for research and development is the most important. Commercialization of, people don't get sometimes researchers because it's not commercialized. We have to make it commercial, the research. So researchers will get an incentive and motivated to further do their research. Inconsistent in our policy implementation, different government departments are not coordinated. So there are a number of challenges, but by overcoming all these challenges and focusing on the issues that I have already outlined, so Ethiopia will see a more innovation-based, a well-built capacity to carry out activities is expected in the coming years. So, if we can summarize, in the past we were having a limited capacity. So they were not, carrying out their activities in an efficient and effective manner. At present, there is a rapid expansion of at tertiary level as well. We have a number of graduates in different fields. So that is one thing which is very important. Institutions are being established, technology institutions and other institutions. So they will help us in enhancing, increasing the capacity in every aspect. The digital infrastructure, our internet penetration, our electric, our road systems, our everything was not that much expanded. Now there is a room always. We have to do a lot. Been improved currently. So in the future, transition towards a knowledge-based innovation economy. That is in our country, in Africa as well, because Agenda 2063 of the African Union says, the Africa we want. So the Africa we want to start us from each member state. So the Africa we want, we'll see the Ethiopia we want, we are aiming for. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. Wonderful future, and we hope